Thank you. Thank you for being here so early. I'm very proud to be able to talk before you. And I think the subject that we're going to have today is very critical in the sense that it is time now to wake up. You've woken up very early, so I'm sure you're waking up. We are probably now able to reverse aging more than ever. It's not anymore 3, 4, 5 years back. It is now certainly already possible to reverse aging totally 15 years, and maybe we'll be able to go much further. And this will be the underlying theme, because the consequence will be that possibly we'll be able, at least some of you will be able to live 40 years longer than normally expected, based on the data now available. You see, this is a curve that shows normal aging.
I'm going to talk about InMode's technology. InMode is an interesting company. They really have a bunch of different devices. I talked about the Body FX, which I will not talk about in this talk at all, which promotes tightening and fat removal. They have some great laser hair removal technology, which I'm also not going to talk about. What I will do is talk a little bit more about that Lumecca device, their intense pulse light device, and a fair amount on their fractional radiofrequency device, because I think it's an absolutely terrific machine. And just so my perspective, I guess I'll introduce myself. Mark and I have been around for probably too long already. I'm doing this 30 years already. I run the laser research program at New York's Mount Sinai School of Medicine. I've got offices in New York and New Jersey. We run fellowship programs for physicians, PAs, nurse practitioners, and I organize a lot of laser meetings. So this is a fascinating company. It used to be called Basics. Now it's InMode. Mickey Krendel, who really is one of the founders, was also at Luminous and Cineron. These are all really major players in this field. He's done R&D.
I will be talking to you about my favorite thing to do, which is to help patients maintain and restore their own living and growing hair. As you know, patients who are out there in the field of anti-aging that we are treating here and there are concerned about their appearance, and that's why there's an aesthetic track here at the A4M. And I thank Dr. Klatz and Dr. Goldman for having foresight to including aesthetic lectures and presentations within the program. Because as you're making your patients maybe feel good on the inside, there are those of us who are trying to help them feel and look good on the outside. And so some of these things kind of go hand in hand. How many of you are anti-aging physicians who are currently practicing with hormone replacement or other methodologies? Great. And how many of you are looking to make that transition from whatever field you're in currently? Excellent. So I've designed this program to go over a few different objectives, and so I'd like to take a moment to review those with you. I'd like to be able to tell you a bit about removing an important compliance barrier for male androgen replacement therapy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Taylor, who is sitting right here, and myself, Dr. Sanderson, are stem cell scientists, and we're here to talk to you about our favorite cells and what they do and how we can exploit them in the laboratory to do great things, to teach us much about skin physiology and how to affect a number of different issues and conditions within the realm of clinical aesthetics as well as condition-specific skin care. Let me see if I can get this to move. There we go. Now, we are also mavens of the world of social media, and we have a blog that's very popular. We get over 1 million visitors a year. It's called Barefaced Truth, so if you want to go to barefacedtruth.com and take a deep dive into some of the fascinating world of skincare science, as well as some of the controversies that exist in the world right now regarding such things, please come and visit us. We got into this as truly as in the back door, as scientists who were interested in stem cells and found ourselves surrounded by colleagues who would say, what can you do with stem cells that can truly affect skin? I don't mean those plants.
I've had the privilege of attending this meeting since the inception of this academy, and I really would like to compliment Dr. Klatz-Goldman on the level of science continues to rise exponentially, and I think this is really so important when it comes to meetings such as this. I'm going to talk to you today about advances in aesthetic radiofrequency technology. I have no significant disclosures for this meeting. My email is as shown, and I'm happy to share with you the several pertinent references as it pertains to my talk. Over the past 25 years, I've had the privilege of working from a research standpoint in the areas of aesthetic medicine, as well as the exciting areas of regenerative medicine and cellular therapy, particularly looking in the fields of autologous fat-derived stem cells. There's been a tremendous amount of research looking at the whole concept of aging, starting from the genetic standpoint, all the things that we know that we can do for ourselves from the inside, both physically as well as psychologically. There's also been a tremendous amount of research looking at both the surgical as well as the non-surgical applications that we can present in the armamentarium to our patients relating to their well-being from head to toe. I think medicine is going to change a lot in the next.
Our next speaker is Dr. Shalana Lalji. She's the founder of Dr. Shah Wellness and Medical, and she's located in the Houston Sugar Land area in Texas. She's a long-standing member of the Academy, and she specializes in wellness and aesthetic medicine. Her wellness and medical spa, she also does educate physicians in many of the techniques that she offers in her practice. And today she's going to talk to us about a holistic approach to hair loss and restoration. Please help me welcome Dr. Lalji to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited to talk to you today about something that I'm very passionate about because as a functional medicine doctor, it's something that I see all the time, and it is a really, really important issue that a lot of physicians, unfortunately, perhaps don't have the bandwidth currently to address or just haven't had the opportunity to get into it. The reason I got into it personally is because this is something that has impacted myself as well. 13 years ago, my second child was born. He's 13 now. And what happened at the time is I personally lost a great deal of hair. And for those in the audience who've experienced any type of thinning hair or hair loss, it is not fun, and it's something that can take a toll on you as a person, to the effect of I did not want to leave my home for the first 3 months because it was something that really affected my self-esteem. So at that point, I started really exploring.
I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Alan Bauman. Dr. Bauman is the founder and medical director of Bauman Medical Group in Boca Raton, and his practice is solely dedicated to the treatment of hair loss in men and women. And he has been doing this for many years. He's treated over 15,000 hair loss patients and performed over 6,000 hair transplant procedures. He is certified by the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgery and one of only 50 doctors recommended by the American Hair Loss Association. He has been a member of the Academy almost since its inception, and he is going to speak to you today about stemming the tide of hair loss, bold new stratagems for the management of androgenetic alopecia. Please help me welcome Dr. Bauman to the stage.
Hey, thanks so much, everybody. How great was Dr. Shell? Give a great round of applause for all the information on holistic hair loss. Really fantastic. I've been coming to the A4M since 1998, so it's a long time. I haven't seen too many other lectures that were as good as that in terms of treating patients with hair loss. So that was excellent. And you'll probably realize that some of my material is just slightly redundant to what she's done. And I learned a few things, which was great. And of course, that's the whole point of us being here. So just thank you for all your attention ahead of time. And hope you had maybe a little cup of coffee or a little boost after lunch, so we'll keep you awake. It's important to notice that we will be talking about some off-label treatments today in the treatment of hair loss. And I just wanted to thank our generous supporters for this support of this lecture. And you can visit their booths in the expo, of course. In the hair aisle, which is row 200, which I thought this morning was the busiest row in the entire conference. So if you haven't checked it out, go down to row 200. So those of you who are in the room today, this is a hair loss lecture. We will be talking about hair restoration. We'll talk a little bit about the prevalence and the psychology of hair loss, and specifically androgenetic alopecia. We'll talk briefly about the physiology and structure of the hair follicle, and then go into some medical evaluations, diagnosis, and tracking when it comes to hair loss patients. We'll go over some of the more traditional technologies that have been available for many years. Many of you heard some of that in Dr. Schell's lecture. We'll talk about some of the advanced therapies, some of the changes that I've noticed in the field over the past 20 years, and some things that are coming down the pike that we all want to keep our eyes open and be on the lookout for. And then in conclusion, we'll talk about continuing on with your education in hair loss.
And implement certain ideas to help us make money in everything that these previous physicians spoke about. Now, when is it okay to say bad words? Well, it's really not, except for a couple different conditions. And I'm going to run through about a dozen or so slides. And this is looking outside of a jet on the way in. Just think about what you would say. Another physician earlier today had the same photo about a bed of crocodiles. Think about how you would feel if this was you. I get the same reaction every time. It's always the, it's a shame.
So this all really originated in Europe. There's a little bit of controversy, but in Europe, 90 to 95% of injectors use the micro cannula. Does anyone know what the percentage is in North America? Yeah. It's 3 to 7%, somewhere in there. So these companies are pulling their hair out, right? Because they have all these cannulas, and how come we're so slow to adopt it? And I want to up front talk about one thing that people always ask me when I train on the cannulas. Well, why doesn't the manufacturer put the cannula in the box? And the reason is, as many of you already know, it's FDA approval. So to do that, the company would have to take the filler back to the FDA, do a study using the cannula, resubmit it, and get it approved. And anyone that's dealt with the FDA, of course, is now gray.
Okay, so let's get started. I know people are shifting in and out, and we'll see what they've done to my talk. I submitted it a while ago, and it looks like they've condensed it quite a bit. So anyway, we have an overview of the electromagnetic spectrum that Dr. Klatz asked me to give. He says, I need a talk on this. I said, okay, it's kind of boring stuff. So we'll try to make it somewhat entertaining. And I'm the one who's giving it, and I work for a bunch of different companies. I'm not sure why they put that there like that. There we go. Okay, so that's more what I'm used to. So really, this is what wavelengths for what and why. And thank you all for your attendance and patience, and it's an honor to be here and stuff. I have a little, I do mention some trade names here because so many things sound alike, and it's important for physicians and medical providers to understand what it is without having to worry about that kind of stuff. So why are we all here? Well, Seuss on aging. I cannot see, I cannot pee, I cannot chew, I cannot screw. Oh, God, what can I do?
Well, I'm excited. I was going to wear a really fancy outfit for all of you guys, but since the rodeo's in Vegas, I thought I'd wear my Texan boots instead. I'm so excited to really share with you the expertise and whatever knowledge that I've gained over 10 years of being in the aesthetic field, cosmetic dermatology. And I'm going to do this because I am a board certified dermatologist. My husband and I, who's there videotaping me, went to Stanford Medical School. We met there, had our first child before graduation, and we've been very busy since. If you are one of my Facebook friends like Dr. Gary Lee, who is a time machine provider here in Nevada, he knows that I'm very, very busy. We have 4 M Beauty by Dr. Tess locations in Southern California. I travel speaking on the topic that we're going to cover today, which is helping our patients look years younger without surgery. And that's really been my, my career's passion.
No, I come from Derm & Co. I'm one of the founder of Derm & Co. But I'll be talking about, enlighten you about all the different technology worldwide that I've been very lucky to present into. And basically, I have 35 years of medical spa experience. I still own a medical spa in Montreal, 6,000 square foot facility. So I'll try to enhance you with the latest without making it too commercial, even though this is a non-CME presentation. So new technology, what do we have? I mean, let's face it, I was not here with you today, but we do have intradermal systems or infusions that are really in. Was presented at the last dermatology meeting, talking about infusing some let's say, electroconductive solutions into the skin. So some of you have probably seen this. Some of the estheticians or spas were offering this kind of a technology, but we're stepping it up, and we're trying to infuse drugs, medicine. We're trying to be different in order to penetrate the skin at a medical grade level. So it's no longer just a spa treatment. So this is really hot, or actually taking a big portion of this industry. The other thing is infusion peels, like using electroconductive methods to inject, if you'd like, chemical peels at different levels, low pH and high concentration. Now let's look at the overview and how you can actually classify your people. I'm going to be able to show you in this 45 minutes presentation how you can actually classify each and every one of your clients through this process. It takes about 3 minutes. So I don't think nobody can really somehow pass that opportunity. So we say, body type classification is simple. I didn't invent anything, but there is other method existing out there. Of course, there's the Chinese 5 elements. Some of you maybe are utilizing this in your practice. The Indian with the 3 dosha, Ayurvedic method. And the most important, is of course the one that I found the most simplified and so simple to follow and to identify is the Greco-Roman based on Hippocrates on the 4 body type. This is 2,000 years ago. I didn't invent anything. I just vulgarized it, simplified it for us to be able to use it in our practice.
Patients here, for starters. Okay, good. Do you have patients that might want to have their rejuvenated appearing face, tightening of the skin, and maybe contouring of the body, all non-invasively? People interested in that? Yeah, good, because you came to the right place. So really what we're going to talk about today is clinical skin tightening and body contouring using microcurrent energy. Now, just to help me know how to enter the conversation, how many people here know about radiofrequency devices, non-invasive? And how many people are already using one of those? And how many people are unhappy with the results? Okay, same number of hands. I am too. I've been through them all. I've bought them all. And usually they end up being a doorstop somewhere about a month to 6 months after I buy them, because they either hurt too much or they don't deliver. And let's be brutally frank here. And what I'm talking about today is an interesting product that I've had done to myself for skin tightening.
So good afternoon. What we're going to be discussing in this session is advances in non-invasive combination anti-aging treatments. So really what we're talking about is how to take all of your things that you've learned, all of the different goals and treatment tools that you have, how to combine them to get the best outcomes. So just a couple of disclosures as we're beginning. As they mentioned, I am a dermatologist. I'm predominantly in a private practice. My practice is split about 50-50 between skin cancer surgery and cosmetics. Just a couple of disclosures. I do receive research support and I'm on the speaking board for Invasics. I request humbly no photographs or videos of any of the patient outcomes that we're showing. And then all products discussed in this session will be FDA approved and cleared. However, many of the applications, particularly when you're talking about botulinum toxins or fillers, we're using them off-label technically because we're using them in areas of the face that they weren't technically approved for. The last disclosure is this is actually my textbook that I edited, which we are going to use some of the pictures from and kind of follow the same concepts that were presented in the book.
So, January 22nd, 1984, during a timeout in the Super Bowl, the Washington Redskins were leading the Oakland Raiders 33-7. It was the third quarter and a commercial aired. 70 million people watched that commercial. It was directed by famed director Ridley Scott. After watching that commercial, advertising was changed forever. And so was perhaps a generation of people.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of any contradictory thoughts. Our purification of laws is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
Many of you maybe remember that commercial. It was for Apple computers. It was 1984 when the first Apple computer came out. If you haven't read Steve Jobs' book, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. It was written by Walter Isaacson. And when you look back at what Steve Jobs did, he didn't necessarily create computers. Computers have been around for a while. But what he did was he merged three different fields of thought. He took creative design, electrical engineering, and user experience, and brought them all together. And by bringing them together, we get Apple computers. It's not just one. It wasn't just the best computer. It was bringing them together. So I believe that when you bring different fields of thought together, where they merge, where they overlap, that's where you have true advancement. It's not just studying our own field of medicine. It's understanding other fields of medicine and bringing them together, and philosophy and art, that we actually get.
So just to remind everybody what platelets are, what we learned, this slide reminds us what we learned in medical school. Thrombocytes are cell fragments without nuclei that work with blood clotting chemicals at the site of wounds. So we all knew that, but what we didn't know until the last, say, 10 or 15 years, and the dentists were way ahead of us on figuring this out, is what platelets do. They turn from rather ordinary looking and I claim to be a laser doctor, and I can't even make the pointer work.